Hello and welcome to a practice session for the English portion of the ACT. I will be using Form 74F, which was an April 2017 test date if you want to look that up online and have a hard copy in front of you. So basically what I want to do in this first session is to look through one passage of the ACT English portion. So we'll be looking at 15 questions and thinking about how we choose the right answer. So here we go. Question number 1 says, which choice most effectively emphasizes the complexity of the paper sculptures? So the key word here obviously is complexity. So if I were taking this test, I would underline the word complexity. This then becomes a word choice question. Okay, so let's pause here for just a moment. One of the strategies that I advocate is knowing the question type. You are more likely to be able to pick the correct answer if you know the type of skill that's being tested. So as I walk through these, pay attention to the question type and see how that's connected to a correct answer. So if you know this is a word choice or a diction question, then I have to pick the word that best emphasizes complexity. So I look at my choices. I've got intricately, impressively, terrifically, and superbly. The one that emphasizes something being complex, convoluted, having multiple parts, is intricately. And so the way this question is set up, that means A, no change is the correct answer. So let's talk about no change is the correct answer. A lot of times students are reluctant to pick that as a correct answer because we see something underlined. We automatically think there's something wrong. I've got to fix it. There must be a change. That's not the case. On the English portion of the ACT, no change is going to be the correct answer about 25% of the time, maybe a little bit less because it's not statistically accurate because you're not going to have no change as an answer on every single question type. But in this case, this test begins with a no change is the correct answer, and sometimes students are reluctant, especially on the first question, to mark that. All right, so that whole sentence there, let's go ahead and read that. Between March and November of 2011, an anonymous donor left intricately crafted paper sculptures at various cultural institutions in Edinburgh, Scotland. Delighted, comma, each sculpture was left secretly and was later discovered by staff. Now, automatically, I can find that there's something wrong with this sentence. When you have a word or a phrase or a clause that's set off by a comma at the beginning of a sentence, it means that it will modify the noun or pronoun that's closest to it after the comma. So in this case, delighted modifies sculpture. Was the sculpture delighted? No, it was the staff who was delighted. So if I recognize this question type as a misplaced modifier, then I know that if I keep delighted at the front of the sentence, then I've got to somehow find a way to make it modify staff. In other words, staff has to be next to delighted. When I look at my choices, each sculpture was left secretly and later discovered by delighted staff. Okay, so there, delighted is next to the word it modifies. G is the correct answer for number 2. Number 3, library staff dubbed it the Poe tree. Okay, so the first sculpture discovered at the Scottish Poetry Library was a tiny tree formed from a book of verse. Again, this is a word choice question because I have 4 choices. Was it library staff specified it, adorned it, honored it, or dubbed it? The word dubbed means to name. So dubbed is the correct answer. It's the correct word choice. So again, it's a no change as the correct answer for number 3. Number 4, at Edinburgh's Film House Cinema, comma, a 3-dimensional sculpted scene shows patrons sitting. Now, as you read through that comma is necessary because it's marking off an introductory prepositional phrase. A 3-dimensional sculpted scene shows. There would be no need to put a comma between the subject and the predicate. So the way it is written is correct. Again, number 4 is a no change. So if you'll notice here, in the first 4 answer choices, 3 of them have been no change. So don't be reluctant to mark no change, especially at the beginning of a test. Number 5, same sentence. At Edinburgh's Film House Cinema, a 3-dimensional sculpted scene shows patrons sitting in a movie theater as horse leaps out of the screen. Now, obviously here we have a problem with singular and plural. The correct answer here is going to be C, a movie theater as horses leap. Now, if you'll look at choice B, That represents a singular possessive. That doesn't fit the context of this sentence. And here, theaters, singular possessive, the possessive theaters doesn't work. C is the only choice that will work. Number 6, at the Scottish Storytelling Centre, a dragon crafted from the pages of a mystery novel. So this has a question here about, should we use a dash? Should there be a comma after dragon, or should there be a comma after pages? None of those work. So the answer here again is no change. So 4 times we've used no change in 6 questions. Number 7, more creations appeared at more than a few additional places where literature and artifacts are related to books and writing. This type of question represents a question about wordiness, sometimes called verbosity, just using way too many words. There is an element of redundancy in this sentence. More than, a few, and additional, all of that adds nothing to the meaning of the sentence. So if I tell you that number 7 is a question about eliminating redundancy, being the most concise, then the correct answer is typically going to be the shortest answer. In number 7, the shortest answer is D. Let's plug it in and see if it works. More creations appeared at several libraries and museums devoted to books and writing. It's clear, it's concise, it's grammatically correct. That choice doesn't inadvertently create a fragment or a run-on in the sentence, so D is the correct choice. Number 8. 8 is a question about transition. You have the transition word therefore, which is a cause-effect word. You have eventually, of course, and however. However represents a contrast. So in order to answer a transition question, you have to know what the paragraph before is about and what the paragraph, or the sentence before and the sentence that it's transitioning to is about. Here, this is a time order sequence. So we're going through time, that at first these sculptures were discovered and finally this was discovered. Therefore doesn't work because it's not cause effect. However doesn't work because it's not contrast. The only time order transition is G, eventually. So it indicates a chronology. Number 9, the creator of these sculptures are not known because no one has claimed responsibility. This question is subject-verb agreement. So if you look at this, the creator of these sculptures, it's very tempting to look at sculptures and say sculptures are. That would be correct. But hold on a minute. Sculptures is not the subject of the sentence. Sculptures is the object of the preposition of. So of these sculptures is what's called an intervening prepositional phrase. So anytime you have words that come in between the subject and the predicate, you have to be really careful not to mess up the subject-verb agreement. So if I were to say the creator are not known, automatically that would sound wrong. That violates subject-verb agreement. So we know it should be the creator is not known, and C is the correct choice there. The creator of these sculptures is not known. Now, creators of this sculptures doesn't work because of this, and this doesn't work in D. So it has to be C because sculptures is plural, and we want to use the correct demonstrative pronoun these. Number 10, whatever, whoever. Just let me tell you right now, you can't have a colon just hanging out in the middle of a sentence like that. That is not going to work. If you look at choices G and H, you see that there's a lot of wordiness going on. That should be like a red flag going off that, hey, I'm not going to choose these wordy responses here. So I look at the shortest answer, J, regardless of who created the art. Makes sense, doesn't create an inadvertent sentence error. J is the correct answer because of wordiness and incorrect punctuation of a colon. Number 11, regardless of who created the art, comma, your intention is clear. Well, that's an illogical shift in point of view. That's a third person or second person pronoun. So we're going to use third person. C is the only third person choice. Her intention is clear. It's a female artist. Number 12, each gift came with a note expressing special gratitude for libraries, books, words, and ideas. Okay, so let's look at our choices. And I want you to notice something here. In G, we've got note of gratitude, expressing special gratefulness, and thanks. So 3 times we've said the same thing. We call that redundancy. G cannot be the right answer. Thank you note on each one expressing special thanks. Again, redundant, saying the same thing needlessly twice. Thankful note, expressing special thanks. Redundant, saying the same thing twice. So the correct answer, no change. So leave it as is. You'll notice number 13 does not have no change as an option. It has a boxed number, so it means it's going to be about the preceding sentence or preceding paragraph. If the writer were to delete the preceding sentence, so we're talking about this sentence right here, the paragraph would primarily lose a statement that. Okay, so this sentence says that all of these sculptures came with a thank you note expressing thanks for libraries, books, words, and ideas. It tells us the why. Why did this author do this? And so the correct choice there is B. Explains why the artist created these sculptures. That's called a rhetorical skills question. Number 14. Ironically, the creator of these exquisite sculptures who destroyed books, cutting them up with refashioning them into elaborate works of art. Notice that aside, that phrase is marked off by dashes on both sides. So it's not a question about the dash here because it's in every choice. The problem is with using this relative pronoun who, because it creates a sentence error. So take that out and you've got J. Ironically, the creator of these exquisite sculptures destroyed books, cutting them up with refashioning them into elaborate works of art. And then number 15, cutting them up with refashioning them, that is an incorrect use of the preposition. The correct choice should be and, cutting them up and refashioning them into elaborate works. All right, that's passage 1. If you time yourself, you should have about 9 minutes to do passage 1, 15 items, because there are 75 questions and 45 minutes to answer those questions. Good luck, especially to my Tennessee students who are taking the ACT on March 17th. I wish you the best of luck.